Hello and welcome to the Hatha Yoga Mama podcast. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Kelsey. I'm the host here and just talking about all things yoga, the universe, energy, psychedelics, kind of all of it and how it all intertwines into this big, beautiful planet of consciousness and love. So today I had I had notes for this one episode, which will come to you at some point, about malas and how to use them. And I'm very excited about that. However, I realize I'm really skipping over a huge point that I need to touch on, or that I feel the need to touch on, because it is so talked about in yoga teacher trainings on deep levels, I feel, but it's almost never ever touched upon in the basic yoga class. And that is the Yogic Code. Um, the way, I guess, like the fun way to describe this is like Fight Club, but for yogis. Like we all know about it, but we don't talk about it, but we just live by it. Or like the secret Jedi force of the world is like actually just the yogic code, literally. Like Star Wars Jedi code, yogic code, literally the same. Like Buddha, Yoda, literally the same. So, like, I don't know. Fight me on it. Do some research and then see if you can fight me on it if you can. But anyway, don't fight me on it. That's literally against the yogic code. So, but let's break into it. So, I'm really excited. So, um, this is where yoga is not a religion. It is not like, there's no God over you, like being like this or that, and like you're not really like praying to any certain thing. You're just literally like living life in a very light, light, conscious way, I guess is one of the best ways I can describe it. And So, yeah, let's just dive right in. So, in the yogic code, there are two sections to this code. There are the yamas and the yamas and the niyamas. Sorry. So the yamas is like your social code. So these are the rules that apply between you and society, you and your community, you and others. And then the niyamas are the self code. And so that's the code or the rules used for yourself. And there are 5 rules in each section. So we'll just start with the yamas. So, in traditional context of the practice of yoga, the ancient practice of yoga, from was always done from teacher to disciple, and the disciple typically lived with the guru, or disciples lived with the guru for X amount of time and learned all of these things. Sometimes years, sometimes months. It always depended on the person, obviously. Um, but anyway, so before any postures, meditations, breathing techniques, before any of those things were ever taught, the social codes, or the yamas and the niyamas, were first taught and then observed. And once the teacher felt as though the disciple really did know and understand and live by these rules after like a set period of time. This wasn't like, oh, I'm going to tell you these today and I'm going to trust that you do it and then we'll start teaching stuff tomorrow. It was like, no, I'm telling you these today and we're going to hang out for like a month and I'm going to make sure that you're like following these things and really actually trying and actually practicing and actually being on this path before I teach you all of these really cool things of how to access these higher points of your consciousness. So, yeah, it's kind of wild because like now, especially in like America, like you can just walk into these classes and start doing like all of this stuff that like you're really not fully prepared to do if you're like just literally do not know anything about yoga and you're just walking in brand new. Now, I'm not trying to deter you from going to a beginner's class if you're a beginner and that's what you want to do. That is a great place to start because it should be beginner level at obviously if it states that. However, what I am saying is that is that first beyond any postures or anything, these ideals and these um, literally just philosophies and lifestyles have to be understood and lived. Um, so, again, without further ado, let's break right into them. The yamas, so the social codes. Number one, ahimsa, which is nonviolence towards our own self or others. This means nonviolence in our thoughts, in our deeds, in our words, also actions, obviously, um, and basically to act from a loving state. So, in really, this is coming from, there are really only two energies when you talk about positive and negative or polarity. Um, there are two energies, and you if you're going to put them into conscious terms and like emotion and energetic terms, you have fear and you have love. And literally every other emotion emerges from those two. Um, and so you can boil literally anything down into, is it coming out of a place of fear or is it coming out of a place of love? You know, am I doing it because I'm scared something else will happen if I don't do this, or am I doing it because I love this thing and I love that person or whatever it may be. Um, so yeah, number one, ahimsa, nonviolence. And like I said, this is also in thoughts and deeds and words. So like you can't just be like, oh, I didn't hit anybody in the face today, but you told everybody to like fuck off and you were just mean. Like, no, that's not okay. So that's number one. Number two, satya, truth. Satya means truth. Um, and this means always tell the truth no matter what. Just your out whatever your authentic true feelings are, you need to be speaking that. And I really love this from my teacher, but was the way he always said it, because he's like a gentle, very kind person, but and obviously people are like, well, what happens when the truth hurts. And he would always say this, and I loved it, but he would say, always tell the truth how it works, not how it hurts. Which is just so sweet. Which also just means like tell the truth, but just try to be conscious and try to be as kind and not attacking the other. So tell it how it works, not how it hurts. Um, Number three, estia. I think I'm butchering that one, but this is non-stealing. And so basically, a peaceful existence is found within a peaceful coexistence. If you are obviously stealing from anyone in your village, the village is not going to care for you very well, and you're not going to have a very good coexistence for very much longer. So, non stealing, peaceful existence creates a peaceful coexistence. Number four is brahmacharya, which is consciousness behavior. This means to act in a balanced way, and in a conscious way, in a loving way. Um, Brahma is the ultimate creator and or consciousness, whatever you want to call it. Um, Brahma is like that word in Sanskrit for that. Um, so this just means to act in a way that pure consciousness would act. And this means in a non-judgmental, open, and loving way. Like that's literally all you need to be, you know. Non-judgmental, open, and loving. Oh, this like sounds so familiar. Like maybe somebody else said stuff like this too. Like maybe like the Buddha, maybe like Jesus Christ, maybe like some other people along those like words. I don't know. Am I just crazy? No, I'm not crazy. This is literally all what everyone who's ever had any sort of inner spiritual depth and knowing, this is literally everything that they've all been preaching and talking about. So that's why I love yoga as well. It's because it just really takes the cores of all the good stuff that people were trying to like tell, but then like all this bad stuff got mixed in. And it really just boils it down to the most simplest form. And it's so fucking just, yeah, it's so simple. And no whores need to get beaten in the middle of it all. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, okay, no pun intended. All right, anyway. So that's number 4 was brahmacharya, consciousness behavior, acting in a balanced and conscious way, acting out of love. Acting in a conscious way. If everyone was just literally acting in a conscious way, if if 10% of your town was acting in a conscious way, like the world would be an amazingly different place. Like it's fucking wild. So just yeah, be the change, be that consciousness behavior. Um anyway, knock it off my soapbox. Number 5, apagarya, non-accumulation of things or non-possession. I love this one. I really do. My dad is sometimes a hoarder. Sometimes we'll just like see things as like, yeah, I need to have that for no reason. And like other than like, oh, I could like store it and use it for something later. Like it's just it's wild. I mean, it's like it is scarcity mindset for sure. He grew up as a poor boy of a preacher man, but and he never let us forget that. But yeah, so he's just always trying to be useful and trying to find useful things and whatever. Use everything, every scrap of everything. Oh my God. Anyway, so this one, the non-possession and non-accumulation of things was kind of difficult for me at first in life, because I did want to kind of keep everything. I was very much like I had every little piece of paper of this, that, the other. I was like, oh, this is so important to me. Like, no, it really wasn't. It wasn't. It's literally garbage. It just like made important. And when I got rid of all of that stuff, and I have very limited things now, and I have had fairly limited things for quite a while. I mean, outside of obviously when you have kids, then you get a lot of things for them. Obviously, they come with a lot, they need a lot of different types of things. But anyway, for myself, I'm pretty minimalistic, honestly. Um, anyway, so let's break into this one. So the non-accumulation of things or non-possession. This is part of the Yogic Code, as ancient yogis were usually possessionless and they usually just roamed the streets, knowing and trusting that they would always find exactly what they need when they needed it, which is fucking amazing. And it's like the ultimate, like, walk of truth, of just like, I'm just gonna trust that all my needs will be met. I have no plans, nothing going on, and this is just gonna happen. And honestly, I do know that feeling because I pretty much did that both times I went to India. I like people probably think like, oh, you had like a couple few grand, stashed up, and so that you could like travel for that long. Like, nah, nah. I had like literally like $100, $200 in my pocket, like, and it was just like gonna be gone for months, and was like, yep, it's fine, gonna be gone in a foreign country. I'm just gonna figure it out. And I did. I winged it and worked and traded and bartered and did all the things, and like I fucking made it no matter what. It was fucking amazing. Um and this is what I had a friend. I worked at a resort in Goa in South India for a few months once, and the guy who owned it, he was a British guy, awesome guy. Um and he called it like the great wheel above the sky in India that just like makes shit happen exactly correctly, but also like in the most chaotic, orderly way possible. And it was so true because it's like nothing ever went to plan. Like you didn't make plans, you literally just the plans to just be in the present moment and fly by the seat of your pants, and the whole day is going to be great no matter what. And that's literally how it happens. Like no matter what. And everyone's just like so fucking happy to just like be there and be alive, and everyone is so like vibrant and present and just there, and everyone's just like riding that wave of the present moment, and it's the most like beautiful, cool, chaotic cosmic dance you've ever fucking seen in your life, and there's no way to really even encapsulate it other than to just flow with it. Like you just got to go with the flow, trust that mama's going to bring you right where you need to be and across all the people you need to meet, and it's amazing what kind of path you walk when that happens. But anyway, so this, yeah, the non-possessionness and just understanding that, just having what you need when you need it, it's all gonna be there. No fuss, no worries. Um, and in that mindset, why do you need to accumulate things? You don't, because you don't need to save it for a rainy day, because if and when that rainy day comes, that umbrella will appear. You don't need to store it for 365 days and wait for the one rainy day. Um, you can just trust that when it rains, you shelter will be provided, or you'll find shelter when it happens. Anyway, that was like the ancient, obviously like a wandering, roaming, like sadhu spiritual man's way of going about life. But anyway, so that wraps up the social codes. That's everything that you are supposed to be practicing as a social, in your social circle, as a yogi. Um, so let's move into the niyamas. So the self code. Number one is sach, which is cleanliness, and that's full cleanliness, meaning cleanliness of one's body, your thoughts, your words, your deeds, your actions, just coming from a clean place. Um, Speaking of cleanliness, I mean, obviously, like I said, you had to practice all of these prior to like learning all the yogi secrets. But I will say there are some wild, wild yogic cleansing techniques for the body. Um, that like some I'm just like, whoa, that okay. I don't think I want to practice that, but understood. Um, and some I totally did, and it was like very challenging in a very mental way. um, but basically, so everyone is like, not, maybe not everybody, but a lot of people are familiar with like neti pots. So that's one way to clean the nasal passages. You just fill the neti pot. It's basically like a tiny little teapot that you pour through one nostril, and then the water comes out of your other nostril, and then you go and do it on the other side. If you just tilt your head a certain way and do this, like it all just drains right through, and it's a really it's a lovely process, honestly. And when I was in my 6 week yoga training, we literally were doing neti pot every single day at 4:30 in the morning. No joke. We'd wake up at 4, have tea time at 4:30, tea time and neti pot time. And then at 5 a.m. we'd start our first yoga class that would go from 5 to 7. And then we would have our breakfast at 8. And yeah, the rest of the day we had more classes and such. But that was the morning at least. Anyway, so the neti pot cleanses the nasal cavities, keeps like your mucus in balance. It's great. And another one that I did, this one was like the most wild one I think I did. I'll have to look at my book to remind myself of the name of it. But basically, it's cleansing the palate and the back of your throat, between the roof of your mouth and your nasal cavity, and you're not like basically your nostrils, your nasal cavity up there where that connects. So in your skull, if you have ever done like anatomy and phys and whatnot, if you know the bone anatomy, your nose, your nasal cavities actually open up in the middle of your head to your like throat area. So that's why like smell has so much to do with taste and such. And how you can have stuff come out your nose, like milk or whatever, if you're laughing, whatever, something like that. Like that's how that happens. Obviously, there's a passage there, and so one yogic technique is to take like a threaded cord, so like usually like a kind of a thicker string, obviously, because it's you gotta have it be pretty thick so you can like maneuver with it, basically, and you literally stick it up one nostril and you with your fingers and you just kind of keep feeding it and you open your mouth and with one hand you're feeding the string and with the other hand you're reaching your fingers to the back of your throat and you wait to feel that string literally go through your nasal cavity, like through the nose, into the back, like into your upper kind of throat esophagus area. And then you can literally feel it with your fingers and then you can pull that string through your mouth and then literally use this string like a piece of floss, but instead one piece is in your nose and the other is coming out your mouth, and you're literally flossing like that back part of that mouth, like nasal palate area. And then you do both sides. So you do one side and then you do the other side. And holy fucking shit. That was like the craziest mental thing I've ever had to do, I think, like sober, outside of like being on acid and being in a crazy situation or something like that, like in just like physical form, um, putting myself through something that took that much mental, like just control of like not freaking out, not throwing up. Oh my God, it was wild. And I almost couldn't do it. Like it took me a few tries and I was like, oh, like almost gagging and all these things. And my teacher finally came up to me because he knew I really wanted to do it, but he like saw me kind of struggling. So he came up and he's just like, Kelsey, just look at me. And I looked up at him because I was like kind of bent over trying to get this thing through. And I look up at him and we kept eye contact and he's like, all right, now just do it, and he's kind of coaching me through it. And we just kept eye contact and I just kept, yeah, as long as we kept eye contact, I could keep my body enough of just thinking of it as just a body and not actually me and putting myself through it all, that I could actually do it, and then actually got through it. And holy shit, I was like, oh my God, oh, I'm never going to do that again. But it was actually really wild and cool to just be like, oh my God, these gross human bodies. And but when I say gross, I don't mean disgusting. I mean gross as in like gross human form, like or like solid, these bodies are just so funny. The way that it's all connected and yeah, yogis do take cleanliness very, very seriously. So number one is cleanliness, my friends. um, fun little tidbit. Okay, so next one, number two. Sorry for that tangent, guys. Thanks for sticking with me. Number two, Santosh. That is contentment, and that's between now and moving ahead. Being content with what one has and having a hopeful and content view of the future. Um, I love that. Honestly, love that for us. Like, and truly, like, that is what I really, even before I was following yoga, like, kind of had done. I guess people very much called me an optimist, I guess is what you could say. It's being Santosh is contentment, which other people in modern day life might call optimism, aka being happy about the present, being hopeful about the future. That's literally expected. Like that's how we run our lives. Because like you can go the other way, but like why? In what way is that loving? In what way is that coming from your highest conscious self? It's not. It's working out of unconscious mind. So, anyway, reeling us back into consciousness, my friends. So, number two was contentment. Number three of the self code is tapa, which can be translated into austerity, um, and or like the fire of discipline is also how this can be translated. Translated. Um, Yogis are all about discipline, and this is probably where I lack the most. I'm so sorry I keep coughing. Anyway, so discipline creates willpower. And it's not that we get inspired to do something, it's we are disciplined to get up and to do it. And then after doing it, we feel better. And then our willpower is back and we're doing what we should be doing. We can't run it the other way around. We can't sit around and be like, oh, I don't want to do that today because I just don't feel like it. Like, nope, that's not how we run. We're very disciplined. And this is where um, I love how I was taught and everything, but also it needs to be noted that in a lot of these traditions, women were never allowed to be part of this practice until literally like the 18 or the 1900s. So it was all men. And so they were like, yeah, you have to do this practice every single day, da 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 da, which makes perfect sense. Men have a 24-hour hormone cycle. However, for the female yogis, yes, we still need discipline, but it looks a little bit different for us. You know, we do have a different hormone cycle. We have like a 28-day hormone cycle ish on average. And so, needless to say, not every day is the same for us, just like how it is for a man. And so, with that being said, discipline doesn't mean that you have to get up and do yoga for an hour every day. That's not what's going to happen. But it does mean that you stick to your practice. You still do what you need to do and you take care of your body, you know. So if you're menstruating, if you're on your period, you are not doing yoga, you know, you are not stressing your body, you are not going upside down. It's actually not like frowned upon to do any inversions, no down dog, even nothing that would basically flip your uterus upside down to backflow things. Not that it could in that amount of time or anything, but the idea is like, why would you want to? That's not the flow, man. Stick with the flow. The flow is everything's coming out of you. You need to rest, chill out, not go upside down and do some crazy shit. Anyway, so number three is discipline. And so, yes, that means to your practice, both physically, meditation, breathing practices, your eating practices, your social codes, all of it. You know, discipline of everything. You need discipline for everything. Um, Number four is swadhyaya. This is self study. Um, Basically, just constantly studying yourself, you know, and learning about yourself and viewing, like seeing just more, I don't want to say more shit, but just more stuff, you know. We're like, oh, I guess I don't really need to believe that because that's not really true. It's just a reflection of this, that, the other. Like, okay, I can let that go. I can let that go, you know. And just, or if you, if um, something occurs and it makes you very anxious or very fight or flight response, anxiety, stress, you know, any of those things, that's immediately a time to be in self study. It's immediately a time to go, okay, what is it that is putting me here? It's okay, it's this thing. Okay, am I actually in immediate danger? No. Do I feel like it? Yes. Yes, I do. I feel like I could die. Like something's gonna eat me very soon. No, nothing's gonna eat you. You know, just sit down and chill. Um, you know, there's that saying like nervousness or anxiety is just suffering twice or like needlessly, you know? And it's true. It's like, because a lot of times when you sit there and you freak out about all the different things, none of them actually come true. And if any of them do, maybe it's one, it's not even usually as bad as you made it out to be. So you just suffered for like 5 days freaking out about multiple different ways. And then the day comes and the thing happens, and it was 5 minutes of really nothing, and you moved on. So it's like, was it actually a big deal, or did you blow it out of proportion and into a big deal? And it's usually that, my friend. Sorry to be a buzzkill, but and like I'm speaking as much to myself as I am to everybody right now, especially to me. So anyway, so self-study, this is just an ongoing process always in life. And it's just literally just being aware of one's capital S self, you know, just yourself, your connection with yourself, your body, your mind, um, being being the observer, not the observed, I think is one of the best ways you can say you're in self study, you know. Um, and if you've never heard that before, if you haven't been like done meditation and stuff, that's a very common term in meditation. Is that's basically what you do in meditation is you're taking the mind and you're going, okay, well, I am not the mind, so I must be beyond it. So then what am I? You know, you're the observer. You are not the observed. The observed would be the brain, the mind, the body, what we're living. This life is all being observed through these senses that we have in this weird, strange little body that we have. And then the consciousness, the deepest self, you know, is just realizing what's going on. You know, it's just catching up. Like consciousness is like figuring out, like, oh my God, we are here. Fuck. Holy shit. I'm on planet Earth living this life. Like, and I get to create whatever the fuck I want. And I actually asked for all of this. And all these people that come into my life are blessings, and I love them so much. Like, and holy shit, what a grateful, magical thing it is to be alive. Like, that is the magic of self study, you know, because, yeah, what else is there, you know? It's like, I love also, you know, the saying, like, um, we are consciousness like in play form, or like consciousness discovering itself basically. And it's true, like that's what the human existence is consciousness, like starting to play, creating all of these like life forms, and then like, you know, these life forms catch on to it eventually, and they're like, wait, there's something else going on here, there's some other unseen magical forces at play, energy, you know. And then it's like, wow, we are all part of this one big cosmic blanket of love and light, and this is really fucking cool. Um, so yeah, I'm all about the self study. Um, let's move on to number 5. Let me not butcher this one. Ishwar Parnidana is the next one, number 5. Ishwar is God or cosmic intelligence, and Parnidana means surrender. So this means to surrender to God, to surrender to yourself, to cosmic intelligence, or to surrender, yeah, yourself, your whole self to cosmic intelligence by acting out of the larger self. This translates to giving your best in every single thing that you do. By acting out of pure consciousness, you see that every single moment is a beautiful gift unfolding into the next ever present moment. Um, so basically, yeah, I love this one. Um, because I mean, this is again like the surrender um, that Jesus Christ and all of the other messiahs all talked about. You know, they talk about like surrender to God, but like they put it in this really crazy term of like, but repent and or else, and like, or you'll die eternally. Like they put all this negative connotation tied to it, and it's like, no, 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 no. You don't have to scare and terrify people into this surrender. It can be a very gentle surrender. It can be a totally self, and it has to be, there's no other way for it to be, self proclaimed surrender of your cosmic self and love to be part of the rest of the bigger cosmic love and self. And literally, what that comes down to is just being a good person, acting out of love, treating thy neighbor as thy friend, or whatever the fuck the saying is. Um, and it's that simple. It's literally that simple. Um, yeah, it's a beautiful, yeah, it's beautiful, beautiful little dance that we're all part of here. Um, Another one of those sayings I loved is just like they thought they were people who were seen dancing were thought crazy by those who couldn't hear the music. This is very much like kind of along those same lines as like people think you're crazy with all of these like thoughts, ideas, da 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 da. But it's like no, but if you can't see that string of music that connects it all, it does probably look like I'm just a crazy woman with all these fucking rocks and crystals and burning sage and like doing like a million sun salutations and bowing to Krishna and Shiva and Brahma and Vishnu and Ganesha and all of them, you know. I gotta throw some Kali and um, Praviti. I think I just butchered her name. Um, Lakshmi, any and all of those gods and deities, you know, they're a version of all of us, you know, of energies within. Um, and we're all connected. And that's really how what yogic philosophy talks about. And that brings me to the point of what yoga actually means, which is union. It means yoke, yoking things together. You're unioning, you're bringing them together. And so, yoga, the act of yoga, is literally bringing together like the gross human form and spiritual, like consciousness on the highest level. Like, literally just living eternal light on earth. Like, and this is what I think, like, heaven, quote unquote, heaven is like when you walk the path, your life literally is like heaven. Like, it's not even, not saying that bad things can't happen and whatever, but it's like when you're in flow, when you are walking the path, when you are not going astray from your truth, literally everything does appear exactly as you need when you need it. So there's literally, you're always provided for. There's nothing to be concerned about or worried about. All you have to do is live and operate from a place of love and from a place of thoughtfulness and caring. Um, and it's like literally that simple. So I'll get off my soapbox, but more or less that is really what yoga is the yogic code. Um, and then asana, meditation, breathing practices, those are all things that help you deepen the practice. You know, you can get into some really deep meditation or use some really great breathing techniques to get into these deep levels of meditation where you enter these brain waves of consciousness where you are just existing with one. And it's obviously incredible. You know, it's a very amazing experience to feel so connected to everything without, you know, taking and ate the mushrooms. To just feel it, you know, on a normal everyday level is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And that is, I think, what makes yoga so great. I think that is what's worth teaching to people, um, and just teaching in general is the yogic code. You know, you have enough people running around with the 10 fucking commandments. These are basically the 10 commandments. There are 10 of them, but the yogic style. So yeah, I'm gonna get off my soapbox for now. But my next episode is going to be about malas and how to use them in meditation, and also how they come into your life, which isn't probably how you expect. So I'm going to wrap it up here, but thank you for being here with me today. And I hope you have an awesome day. I hope this brought a little bit of enlightenment to your own yogic journey and maybe some curiosity into starting your own yogic journey. If you want to, go ahead and run over to my website, kelseyhoughton.com. And that's KELSEA. HOUGHTON.com. And I have a bunch of videos, breathing techniques, stuff like that, totally for free that you can access there. Also, some blogs and stuff. If you want to see any more notes about the Yogic Code, I actually, most of my notes, I read this right off of my own website on my blog post, What is Yoga? So if you want to see some of those, some notes or some, like, kind of see it read it over, go ahead, go to my blog, What is Yoga? And that breaks down the Yogic Code. Um, but yeah, so I think that's all I have for you for now. Um, one love, my friends, one light, and we'll talk soon. Bye bye.